former head of state and president of the Council of the Nation, or Upper House of Parliament, Abdelkader bin Saleh, was buried on Thursday afternoon at the Al Alia Cemetery's Martyrs Square here in Algiers. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, was present at his funeral, alongside the President of the Council of the Nation, Salah Boujil, the President of the National People's Assembly, Brahim Boughali, the President of the Constitutional Council, Kamal Finnish, Prime Minister, Finance Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman, the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Said Chingriha, in addition to members of the government, senior state officials, national figures, mujahideen or war veterans, representatives of the diplomatic corps accredited in Algeria, as well as members of the family of the deceased. The Minister of Mujahideen or War Veterans, Al-Eid Rabiqa, saluted in his eulogy the deceased Abdelkader bin Saleh and his journey marked by his devotion to the service of the country. He recalled the various missions that the late bin Saleh carried out within the state, within nationalist spirit and great wisdom. Algeria has lost a war veteran, parliamentarian and diplomat who never hesitated to serve the country. He has now joined his war veteran brothers who preceded him. He has left this mortal world, yet his path full of dedication to Algeria remains. May Allah have mercy on his pure soul.
Voted unanimously by the members of the Council of the Nation and by a majority of the members of the National People's Assembly, the implementation of the Government Action Plan is now underway, an adoption which comes after long debates and negotiations, at the heart of which were the interests of the citizen of New Algeria. During the presentation of the Action Plan to the members of the Council of the Nation, bin Abdurrahman indicated that this plan is the guideline of the government's action, bearing priorities to be achieved, since it was developed following a careful diagnosis and a forward-looking vision based on the examination of previous developments, taken into account the accelerated changes experienced by the world as well as the political and socio-economic situation of the country. The members of the National People's Assembly welcomed the overall vision of the Government Action Plan by affirming a diversified economy based on production. It addressed different sectors and proposed several ambitious reforms, in particular for job creation. The senators, for their part, had issued a motion of support for the government's action plan. After its presentation, the members of the Council of the Nation insisted during the debates on the importance of local development and the improvement of the purchasing power of the citizen, which constitutes for the government an absolute priority through the revival of the economy and the realization of the economic dynamics.
Foreign Affairs Minister Amtal Amamra continues his diplomatic marathon in New York as part of the 76th work session of the UN General Assembly. The minister held a series of bilateral meetings with his counterparts. Among these meetings, a ministerial meeting on Libya to examine the latest developments in the country. Mr. Lamamra's participation in this meeting is part of the efforts made by the Algerian diplomacy to find a political and peaceful solution to the crisis, away from any form of foreign interference. As part of the high-level meeting of the General Assembly organized in celebration of the 20th anniversary of the Durban Declaration Against Racism, Racial Discrimination, Xenophobia and Intolerance, the minister stressed the need to put in place adequate mechanisms to put an end to the injustice resulting from these inhuman practices, which can only be realized through the end of occupation, in particular in Africa. The minister also reviewed the efforts made and the measures taken by the Algerian state, recalling the initiative of Algeria to the institution of the International Day of Living Together in Peace, celebrated on May 16th of each year. Mr. Lamamra also took part in the proceedings of the ministerial consultation meeting between the Troika of Presidency of the Arab League and the UN Security Council. The participants addressed the various crises hampering peace and security in the Arab region, notably the Palestinian cause. The head of the Algerian diplomacy reiterated Algeria's inalienable position in support of the Palestinian people's rights to the establishment of their independent state, with Al-Quds as its capital. On the sidelines of the work of the General Assembly, the Minister of Foreign Affairs held bilateral meetings with his counterparts from France, Gabon, Norway and Malta where he informed his counterparts of the efforts made by Algeria under the leadership of the President of the Republic for the settlement of Libya and Mali's crisis. With his French and Gabonese counterpart, Mr. Lamamra evoked the bilateral relations and the means to promote them in anticipation of Gabon's accession to the Security Council as a member. Lamamra's interview with his Norwegian counterpart focused as well on the means of promoting relations of friendship and cooperation between the two countries. As for the interview with his Maltese counterpart, he focused on the main challenges and common areas in the Mediterranean region, including the situation in Libya.
The province of Tamanrasset witnessed the participation of women candidates for the next local elections of November 27th. Shahrazad is a candidate that hopes to gain the confidence of the voters by personally appearing at their homes. We have many projects for the province of Tamanrasset, as well as a project dedicated to the women of the Ahgar area. We encourage them to participate in the next meeting and elect the candidate of their choice. We hope that this time the right people will be elected and that they do not make false promises to us like their predecessors. These upcoming elections constitute an important step in the future of Tamanrasset and which will create the desired change.
In the province of Constantine, precisely in the municipality of Zerud Yusuf, the 65th commemoration anniversary of the death of a martyr, Zerud Yusuf, who fell on the field of honor on September 23, 1956, took place in the presence of the Inspector General of the War Veterans Ministry, representing the Minister of the Sector and of military and local civil authorities. The commemoration of this anniversary carries more than one indication to perpetuate the continuity on the path of the martyrs, to be inspired by them, and to emphasize the need to preserve the achievements of the state and to teach history to future generations so that our children cultivate the love of the homeland and carry the torch of the revolution's generation.
The spirit of solidarity is the first lesson picked up by the school children from the municipality of Irgan in Tizi Ouzou province, following the forest fires which affected their region last month. Returning to school was not easy for some students. They need special assistance because of the hard times they encountered last month. This help will be offered to them by specialists. Due to the outpouring of solidarity and the work accomplished by the public authorities, 19 schools of various levels were rehabilitated. School children were able to take back the school benches and the course of their lives, thanks to the national solidarity shown to them.
161 new confirmed cases of coronavirus, 139 healings and 9 deaths have been recorded in the past 24 hours in Algeria, the Health Ministry announced on Thursday in a press release. The Health Minister Abdurrahman Ben Bouzid announced on Thursday that 50% of the categories concerned by the vaccination against COVID-19 have benefited from this campaign, or nearly 10 million people out of a total of 20 million inhabitants. He made this announcement during a meeting with the Ministers of Higher Education and Scientific Research, National Education, Vocational Training and Education, and Youth and Sports.
Due to the current health situation caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, economic operators' activities as well as traders from different provinces were severely impacted. Therefore, employers from the province of Bashar applauded the decision of being exempted from penalties for late payment of contributions to the National Social Insurance Fund and are already planning a recruitment process. Several employers welcome the initiative and are considering it as an encouraging measure to recruit more. All employees and unsalaried workers will benefit from this measure, in particular those who encounter difficulties in regularizing their situation with regard to Social Security. It is worth recalling that these exceptional measures are part of the state's efforts to support and help economic operators to overcome the repercussions of the pandemic and allow them to contribute effectively in the economic recovery program.
The inhabitants of Ain Marrani in the province of Shlif will no longer need to travel kilometers to be treated. A fully equipped hospital, which has several medical services, would open its doors in the upcoming months. This hospital has several specialties, such as gynecology, internal medicine, as well as a surgical emergency service. This anti-cancer hospital is one of the major projects that are awaited by citizens of the region. It is 80% equipped and will start receiving patients in 2022.
In the evolution of the situation in Western Sahara, British MP and member of the Parliamentary Group of Solidarity with the Sahrawi People, Graham Morris, questioned the government of his country on the human rights situation in the occupied Sahrawi territories and the conditions of detention of Sahrawi political prisoners in Moroccan prisons. In a written question addressed to the Minister of State for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs, the British MP asked about the efforts of his ministry and the results of the election it held with the Moroccan occupation government on the two issues and to provide clarifications on the latest developments.